All right, hi everybody. I am going to demonstrate how I'm going to draw Pandy using simple shapes. So the first thing that I'm seeing is his big head. Okay, so I'm just going to draw one big circle, really an oval, and actually I'm going to use my other pencil, which is a bit darker. Okay, so there is Pandy's head. And then I also see that there's this smaller oval on his face, which is his nose, or what you call a muzzle. And that is lower down. It's about on the bottom half, up and down ways, and closer to the middle, but a little bit off to the left. So I'm going to put an oval right about there. Okay. And then I also see that he has this outer fluffy fur, and then he has his smaller face, which is not as furry. So that includes this circle, but then it encompasses his eyes as well. So I am going to create a circle that goes out here. Okay. You notice I'm being sketchy with my lines. I'm not worrying about perfection. I'm just getting those simple shapes. Now I'm going to add his ear. Where do you see his ear? This ear is off to the right. You see how it's larger looking than this one? So this oval is going to be larger than this one. This right ear is also on the right side of the head, not at the top and not quite at the very right. It's sort of right. If we are going to make a cross, and this is the top of his head and this is the side of his head, it sort of starts right next to this cross. And I'm just going to make it an oval just for simplicity's sake, even though we see it's kind of a chopped oval. That's okay. And then this ear over here, if we can imagine this X going up and down the middle of his face and across, it's sort of off to the left and pretty far above this middle line, if you can imagine a midline here. So I'm going to put it right about here. I'm going to just flatten that out like that. It's not quite right, but gives us the basic shape. Now, he has his front legs and his back legs. So I'm going to put his front legs. If you notice, actually, before we do that, we're going to put his nose because that's going to be helpful. Again, if we can imagine this cross going down the middle of his face and across the middle of his face up and down, sort of right below the midline going this way, and right off to the left going that way. So right about in here. And I'm just going to do it like this, kind of like a Mickey Mouse nose, even though, I'm going to round it out like a triangle because it's closer to a triangle than an oval. All right. And I'm kind of seeing that I sort of made this line too diagonal. See how Pandy's nose, if you draw a line here, it's not quite flat like a horizon line, but it's not so angled like I have here. So I'm going to change that a bit. I'm going to come back and make it a little bit flatter that way. You can keep your old lines. Don't even use an eraser. Okay, so now I'm going to draw his bottom left front leg here, right here. And I'm going to do that as an oval just like that. I could probably make it more detailed than that, but I'm just going to keep it really simple. It comes right down out of his chin. I think if I was going to break it down a little more, I'd actually make like one oval like this. on one oval like this, kind of getting that bend, but you could just do one oval. His other leg in the front, see how it comes right off the side of his face if you draw a line down? And I'm going to do this part first because it does look like it bends a bit. So I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to go like this. All right. It's not exact, but that's okay. We're not getting exact. We're just getting basic. Then the back leg. So it's really simple. It's easiest if we do, there's those front pads on the bottom of the feet. If we do those pads first, which again, drawing these lines across the page to see where things line up. So this foot is lined up kind of in the middle of this front leg. So if I drew a line across the middle of these front legs, the back leg would be kind of just sticking out like that. And then I'm seeing this line coming down here. So that's an oval that's sort of hidden. But I'm just going to do a line like that, going back to connect it. On the other side, we have this cute little paw coming up. It's a little more up and down than side to side like this one. So I'm going to come over here, right around my midline again, in the middle of these front legs, right off to the side, and do another little circle. How cute! And then I'm seeing this line coming down like that. So I'm just going to do it like that. We're missing eyes. So let's pretend like it's ovals first. There's this larger one here and then this smaller one over here. And now you have your basic shapes of Pandy. It's not perfect, but we could come back and then we could start looking at how to get these shapes more accurate. But at this point, you can take a pause and look at your shapes, see if you want to change anything. And my lights just went off. That's classic. In my classroom, my lights go off all the time. I'm going to add the circle for the eyes right here. There's the eyeball there, and there's a kind of half circle there for the other eyeball. All right. From there, you could come back and you could start shading, but I'm going to leave it just as is. And then you can try yourself. One thing that I would like to change is this line where the black part of the eye meets the fluffy part of the face. It's a little closer in like that than how I have it drawn. So I want to change that. Almost like he's wearing a little cute hood. That's sort of how it looks to me right now. And then there's something about this front leg that's bothering me. I think what it is that this foot's a little bit ahead of here. So I'm going to bring it back just slightly. This becomes very dark in here, so you can't really tell what's going on. There's a lot of shadow. So once you're done, you could start coloring it in, adding details. For instance, you could come in here. Let me zoom in a bit. There we go. You could come back here and look at the ear. There's like this darkest part in here. And there's sort of a line there. And I could just generally, even using my overhand grip on my pencil, gently come back and shade that in, add some value. The way that you use the side of your pencil actually gives that soft sort of fuzzy look, which looks a lot like a lot like Panda's fur. This back ear here, it kind of goes up a little bit more and then back down. And then I'm going to come back in with an overhand grip. I'm not really gripping it though, I'm just holding it very gently. Coloring that in. As soon as I get the dark parts on him, it looks a lot more like himself since he's just black and white. For his nose, I'm going to kind of round the corners out a little bit so you can come back and add details once you have your basic shapes. All right, and I'm going to pause there because the main point is that you're going to be creating these ovals to make Pandy. Enjoy.